Let us start with an example. A fake Rolex will feel lighter than usual. The case will also be made of glass, plastic, or crystal. It will have a loud tick, concave writing, and there will be bubbling. A fake Rolex will look as real as the original from Switzerland. And you need to hear what we have in store for you today to avoid being scammed. Timepieces, there are two common cons to be aware of. You can buy a fake watch or a bad watch. No, they are two different things, and we'd explain what bad watches are in a moment. So, let's say you want to purchase a watch and everything about it looks good. Yeah, newsflash, everything about scams almost always look good. How can you then identify what a scam is and what isn't? First off, if the watch does not come in a box, or if it doesn't have the papers to confirm proof of purchase, run. Usually the scammer will say the watch was an inheritance, but they can't produce the proper paperwork. Many of the watches for sale in today's online shops, while convenient, have questionable provenance. Now, you're sure to fall for their schemes if you're not familiar with them, and we don't want that, do we? Okay then, moving on. If you notice that the price of a watch is too low or the photographs of the watch are just bad, be wary. Chances are the sellers are not sure about the price and are willing to sell it for sometimes ridiculous amounts. Now, here's the thing. These vendors almost certainly have many watches for sale across multiple platforms. They might try to pass themselves off as uniform to make a fast sale. Yes, stay away from those too. It's interesting to note that some con artists will actively seek you out on social media and initiate contact. If you're a watch aficionado and someone tries to reach out to you directly or in some other way offering a great price on timepieces, don't bother responding. It's easy to fall for these crooks if you aren't immersed in the watch industry or knowledgeable about timepieces. Franken watches are a type of counterfeit watch that they occasionally sell. Franken watches are hybrid timepieces that combine authentic and counterfeit components. There is a chance that the listing photo isn't actually of the item being sold, but rather a Franken watch. How can you tell if a watch is fake or not? We'll cover that ground as well. However, you may check if the photo is being used elsewhere by conducting a reverse Google search for the watch. There is a good chance that the seller does not own the model of watch he is advertising. It is also highly recommended that you learn of any private sales, as security for such transactions is notoriously difficult to get. Try to learn as much as possible about the vendor. Instead of trusting a stranger you met online, it's better to go with someone well known within your neighborhood. So, the bottom line is, if it looks too good to be true, then it probably is. On the other hand, there are bad watches. Bad watches are usually sold to first-time buyers. The truth is, the watches aren't fake, they're just a collection of dropship parts that are assembled to make you think you're getting a good deal. Now, first-time buyers are not always knowledgeable, so they can easily be swindled. The watches are of bad quality and sometimes advertised with quality pictures. Kind of funny, don't you think? Anyway, how can you avoid being scammed, duped, swindled, or conned? Do your due diligence. Let's start with buying from an authorized dealer. No matter how enticing it looks, don't purchase from online sites or random strangers on the net. The simple and surest approach to avoid purchasing a counterfeit clock is to stick to official dealers. High-quality watches are typically only available directly from the manufacturer's website or through an authorized dealer. Timepieces purchased from these vendors are guaranteed to be authentic as described and in working order, and to be covered by the manufacturer's warranty. Because of this, the buyer may rest assured that the timepiece is authentic and of high quality. In addition, if there is a problem with the timepiece, it must be simple to send it back. On their homepages, authorized watch dealers will boast about their legitimacy. Frequently, this is something that can be verified on the official brand website. Customers may rest assured that they are getting a genuine product from an authorized dealer when they shop for watches online. This may prove somewhat more difficult while on the lookout for a vintage or second-hand timepiece. Used watches are available at some stores, nevertheless. The buyer also has the option of seeing the watch in person to verify its authenticity. Next, do a price check. Listen, something has to be wrong if the item's price is ridiculously cheap. Fine. The price can be low because of normal wear and tear or damage, but it can also be the result of a scammer lowering the price just enough to get someone to buy the item without asking too many questions. Determine the typical price range for the item before making a purchase, and if a certain item is priced significantly more or lower than usual, inquire as to the reason for the price discrepancy. For example, the Rolex Submariner retails from about $7,130. Anything way lower or higher than that, and we're talking way, then it is probably a fake. However, Let's be honest, neither higher nor cheaper pricing can be taken as proof that an item is genuine. For instance, some genuine sites allow sellers to post their merchandise without a listing fee or a commission. This, in turn, allows these sellers to offer their products at a discount, so anticipate seeing slightly lower prices than usual on these sites. Emphasis on the slightly. Point is, do your research before making any purchase. Now, check for flaws. Many shops and websites focus specifically on serving customers who are looking to buy reproductions. The majority of the items they sell can easily be identified as forgeries. There may be misspelled words or illegible lettering. Stickers are used by some companies instead of paint, while others barely alter the product beyond adding a counterfeit logo. However, there is a specialized market for dealers or replica watches who don't advertise their wares as imitations. Their goal is to fool the most discriminating collectors into paying top dollar by making fakes that look as real as possible. Still, if you compare items side by side, you're much more likely to notice discrepancies or signs of low quality. The buckle is a common weak point in even the best fake watches. Also, latch problems occur even when manufacturers produce buckles that look exactly like the original. And yes, this is probably the most important way to avoid being watch scammed. Have an eye for details. Listen, with Rolexes, Pateks, Togs, and every other kind of watch out there, details are everything. So if you're going to be purchasing a watch, check the details. Manufacturers of counterfeit watches are breaking the law by using brand logos that have been trademarked. However, many manufacturers of fake watches get past this by slightly modifying the emblem. The buyer can easily identify a fake luxury watch if he or she is already familiar with the brand's authentic insignia. Examining the brand's emblem and other identifying marks is recommended before even looking at a luxury watch. You'll be able to avoid buying a fake watch by spotting any branding errors from a mile away. Yes, some watch manufacturers go to great lengths to ensure that only trained eyes can tell the difference between an authentic and a knockoff. In other cases, such as on a watch, the brand name may appear in extremely tiny type on the dial. This method of authenticating Cartier timepieces is standard practice. Manufacturers of high-end timepieces are well aware that forgers are producing knockoffs of their most recognizable models, so they are always innovating new measures to protect their customers from unwittingly purchasing fakes. Also, look for the numbers. Experienced makers of replica watches will nonetheless carve serial numbers into their products, sometimes even in the same place as the genuine manufacturer. The good news is that if you offer a serial number, many brands will tell you whether or not the item is genuine. Before making a purchase, make sure the seller provides a photo of the complete timepiece, including the serial number, so you can verify its authenticity. But that's not all we have today. You should also know that when creating timepieces, watchmakers might save money by reverting to more traditional methods and tools. Sometimes this can leave behind hints that can be used to tell apart an original from a fake. A fake watch may lack polishes and have rougher edges instead. You can also expect smudges and missteps instead of smooth strokes. Low quality engraving or dust or particles on the dial could be the result. If a luxury watchmaker discovered these problems, they would never release the timepiece. Nevertheless, give the watch a piece. You see, even if they don't create them themselves, luxury watchmakers nevertheless take great care in selecting their movements. They're created with extreme precision and are often stitched together by hand. Then they're almost silent or completely silent. You probably have a fake watch if you hear the inner workings. Finally, as you may have noticed, many of the precautions, if you may, will require you going to take a look at the watch in person before paying. While you are checking for details and all that, don't forget to ask for documentation. Now that you're more aware of the common tricks and how to avoid being scammed, perhaps double check on that Rolex of yours.